Body, Mind, Spirit community. This is Tyrone Milade, your goddess guru. And I love helping sister friends, women align with their life purpose using the power of ancient wisdom and the goddess centered lifestyle. And today I want to come on and continue the topic of Pluto in Aquarius. I talked about it in actually a couple of other videos, but I'm calling this part two because I was listening to the Saturn and Pisces, Pluto and Aquarius video I made. And I thought, you know what? I know exactly what I forgot to say that I want to make sure that I say. And if I did say this, then maybe it's very important because I'm not finished listening to the video. And I was like, but I want to come on and talk about this. So, Pluto is the great transformer. And whenever Pluto goes into a particular sign, whatever that sign represents, there will be that topic will be elevated and it will be transformed in some way, quite frankly. And so I had talked about quite a bit before I got to Pluto. And so I feel like I may have left some things off. But part of it is because I talked about Saturn in Aquarius as it was actually Jupiter and Saturn were both in Aquarius together. So remember, I talked about these being social planets. And though we can see them and they do have impact in our personal lives, they can help us manifest materially, or they just, the qualities can help us in our lives. So for instance, Jupiter is about growth, expansion, opportunity, and that we can expect, wherever it is, that's what Jupiter will help bring into our lives. Saturn is about hard work, having a plan, reality check, patience. Those are just a few topics that Saturn represent. And so we can bring those Saturnian qualities into our lives to help us on a personal level. But these planets do actually create change on the societal level. And so they went through Aquarius and we started seeing topics, and I hyper focused on the social changes because Aquarius is about society. But one thing I also want to talk about, I remember talking about this with Saturn, for instance, is the airline industry seemed to be, it had a hard time. Saturn is the reality check planet, and so quite a bit got revealed. I don't remember everything. I know at one point, even before the pandemic, I think it was my husband um, went to Philmont, which is a big deal for people who are in Boy Scouts, and they ended up having to rent a van to drive home. This is before everything that went down in 2022, where Southwest was really, like, it was revealed how bad things are with that company, and it's just not doing a good job of running itself. So it was quite a bit with the airlines. I just remember that being a major topic. So many times people were getting stranded and delays. And so we have to think about that air sign. And, Aquarius is about progress. And so for the fact that we can fly, that's progress. That's progress in our transportation. And so, yeah, we saw a lot come up with that. Aquarius is rebellious. So we saw a lot of rebellion. I largely focused about the rebellion against the government because Aquarius is a sign that has to do with the people. It has to do with the citizens. And so, but it was all kinds of things that came up. We saw all types of demonstrations and around the world. Just, it's too many to name that we've seen since Aquarius got highlighted by Jupiter and Saturn, but especially Saturn, because Saturn stayed there for over 2 years. But one thing that I had said in a previous video was that Aquarius is about the internet. It's about technology. Now, I did say I think Pluto moving into Aquarius is going to help make things transform so that, it's a very technology is what we we know even more. Um, it, Technology, I think, will advance in ways that's just incredible. And so, one of the things that Aquarius represents is podcast. It represents the internet, or let me say, it represents broadcasting a message. So the way messages are broadcasted out is going to change. And, we can even think about how people don't get news all the time on TV anymore. We get news on YouTube, streaming apps. The news stations that are keeping up with how you broadcast something, media companies, I think, have, just really blown up because they don't need the way that we used to broadcast, like the airwaves. They don't need that anymore because we have the internet. So the internet continues to transform the way messages are broadcasted. And so, one of the things that we saw with Saturn in Aquarius is some of the social media companies having to come before Congress, which they were already doing that, especially the one that we all know, that starts with a F and ends with a K. um, you know, that CEO stays in front of Congress on the regular. But it was just this notion of, these tech companies, and for different reasons, for better or for worse, whether they're being accused, because they really are guilty or not. All of this started coming up before Congress. This is Saturn. Saturn is like, we're going to control you, we're going to rule you, and we're going to impose limitations. Though, we just have to kind of, Aquarius is the kind of energy where you will see progress, but not necessarily today. There's a level of Saturnian energy in Capricorn where you have to keep doing the work. You have to keep moving forward. You have to keep applying yourself in order to get the up level that so many people want with Aquarius. And so, even if it seems like things are unsettled when it comes to all of the ways that things are broadcasted out, um, as long as people continue to stick and stay, have a plan that they're following, or, there is some level of things that are just tried and true. So, for instance, one that I can think of is like, you have to treat, if you have a YouTube channel, for instance, I have a YouTube channel. I might say I have so many subscribers or whatever, but I think of it in terms of humans. It's like there are certain things that are tried and true. Build relationships with humans. If you're human, build a relationship with a human. But in terms of like everything just being settled, we just know that there's just so much going on with social media and just new companies being sprouted up that have streaming services. And, we used to watch Disney on the TV. Now we don't. It's a lot that's just like ballooning, and it may seem a little bit uncertain, but over time, I think that especially once Pluto is in Aquarius for good, I think all of it will start just to kind of like mellow out. I think podcasting will balloon even more than it already is. Who knows exactly how podcasting will evolve? And radio, I think, could be something that, even though it may be on the internet kind of radio, but that is something that is signified by Pluto. And so that's one topic that I see being highlighted while Pluto is there, and Pluto will transform all of this. So I just really encourage you to, yes, we will always have the good old days. There are some days when I am, I'll say I'm only 53. The world has changed so much that I I literally feel like I'm living in a different world because I think things like, I remember when this was not even a thing. And sometimes I just have moments where I'm like, oh my gosh, something that I saw on TV is like a real thing. Or it may be, say, for instance, I didn't even know YouTube was going to be a thing and this was going to be part of my career. It's mind blowing. mind blowing. And I think that it's gonna be on that level of transformation. And it's better for you to appreciate that you knew a different time and to draw from that previous time what you can to help you in this time. However, it's important for you to make sure you're looking at where do you fit in this new world. You were born for such a time as this. You chose to come during this time. You didn't come to hold on to the past. You were born in the past because, there's some gift that you're bringing from a time that is very different from what our children will know for most of us. But it's important that you make sure whatever you're supposed to do, you do it. So another thing would be electricity. That's really the internet and electricity. This is what made me sit down and say, let me talk about Pluto some more. Because what I said in that other video was we can really hear some topics about electricity. And sure enough, um, within a few days of that, there were straight line winds, electricity is out across many, many places. And I actually did talk about this in the other video. But I just want to emphasize power. And, I said I wanted to go look at Tesla's chart, look at the chart of when electricity started flowing through, the electric lines. I want to go look at what was going on at that point because I want to see maybe to see how different is that going to be. We've been talking about green renewable energy around the world, saving Mother Earth. And so something with electricity could be at the forefront. I think that electrical storms will become something that is major. Blackouts are something that we will deal with, I think, early on with Pluto in Aquarius. So it could be 2023 as well as, 2024. Let me see, where is it going to be in 2025? Let me see if I can get that far back. But we will definitely, topics of electricity will be at the forefront. Make no mistake about it. Yeah, I do think that it'll be 2024, 2023, 2024, and 2025. It could be very unsettling because those are the early degrees of Aquarius where Pluto will be, and we still won't be fully used to Pluto being there. It's sort of like Pluto dips in and is like, I'm going to bring up some topics for you all. And we're already seeing some of them. And then it'll dip out and go back into Capricorn and be there for a good little while. And then it'll come back into Aquarius and say, like, okay, I'm here. And we're going to just go on ahead and get started, peoples. And so no more. Well, hold on. Let me just see something really quickly. I'm just curious. I'm looking at 2024. Oh my God. It goes back into Capricorn twice. So it'll go back into Capricorn in 2023. Oh my God. It'll stay there. It'll go into Aquarius. And then at some point, it's going to go back into Capricorn at the end of 2024. And then we will take the year out in 2024. It'll be in, woo, my goddess. It'll be in Aquarius. Woo! Pluto is not playing this. I see why I made this second video. Oh my goddess. So there's a lot in Capricorn that we need to understand. We talking about Pluto going into Aquarius, baby, but let me tell you something. Pluto in Aquarius is on and off. And so we really need to be, and that's another thing that kind of dishevels us because it's like, okay, we're in Pluto. I mean, we're in Aquarius, but then we got to go back to Capricorn. And Capricorn is like, you got to finish this up. So all of us here in the United States, this Pluto return is lasting through 2025. So again, I encourage you, what vision do you have for this country? Or if you're listening internationally, what vision do you have for your country? What vision do we all have for the world? What vision do we have for 7 generations behind us? It doesn't matter if you have children or not. You have some nieces, nephews, cousins. Somebody's coming behind you. My kids are coming or bringing, other children into the world or whatever. Everyone's children is bringing somebody into this world. And so we need to be setting it up so that we're thinking about the generations that come behind us. So the electricity will be major. It will be like a huge topic. But with it continuing to go back into Capricorn, it will keep bringing up topics that have to do with government, that has to do with um, corporations. Capricorn was kind of looked at as the sign that is related to owning land. So it could be bringing up topics related to owning material things. I'll say it that way. But I do think land is definitely something that's really Cancer. But I just know that that's been a huge topic. Okay. So going back to Pluto and Aquarius, now I just want to take y'all back to something that I've been talking about. We have to remember this is not something that is we're just dealing with for a day. Pluto is going to be bouncing back and forth between Capricorn and Pluto, Aquarius, for a couple of years. And we need to understand that we are going to be bouncing back and forth between that energy too. And so it's just important to make sure that you kind of keep up with what are you being called to focus on. And eventually we'll be all the way over at the end of 2024. But okay, so the internet is something else that Pluto governs. There's going to be power in the internet, power in tech, power in internet providership, like transformation in all of these. I don't know, one of my dreams is that the internet becomes more of like how we pay our electricity bills. We just have an internet provider. They're not competing, trying to make a whole lot of money, but and they will be providing great service because that's just what you do. That's very Aquarian. Everybody gets to have electricity. Everybody has water. You pay, like a utility. Maybe internet will become a utility. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm just saying the internet is going to be transformed. And another reason why I got on today is I saw a comment on one of my videos, and the sister said something like she was just now getting to watch one of the videos because her internet had been out. So I think initially when we begin to experience Pluto, so 2023 and 2024, it's going to be rough. It's going to be disrupting a lot of things. First of all, Aquarius is the energy of disruption. It is in and of itself a disruptor kind of energy. So it's going to have Pluto coming in with all of its power and might disrupting it's disrupting what we're used to because we're used to Pluto in Capricorn. And so then, we got to get used to this new Pluto and what? It could be any sign. But now it's moving into Aquarius, which has to do with just disruption. This is why we're hearing people lost their electricity and people lost their internet. So, I, I I'm really into trusting your gut and your spirit. There's been so many times when they were like, when it was coming from 1999 into 2000, people like stockpiled stuff. I'm not saying do that. I'm just saying, follow your gut. Don't panic. If you start seeing there's a lot of issues going on with the internet or the electricity, initially it can be jarring, and it could just really cause a lot of unexpected things to happen. Actually, Pluto being in Aquarius can create a lot of unexpected things happening. Things you cannot predict. That is Aquarius. So Aquarius is in and of itself a sign that is like you can't fully predict what's going to happen. Um, but everything is happening in your favor. And so that's a really good way of looking at things. So yeah, internet and the electricity, major topics. Now it is about science, so I think that it could be a lot of scientific, something transformational happening within the science community. Number one, I'm not very familiar with it. I keep up with different, if I need to look up something and I feel like I don't want opinion, I want to hear from people who are doing true scientific work. I have my sources and ways of, figuring out who and what those sources are. And so, but to be honest with you, I'm not part of the community, so I don't exactly know what this is going to look like. I do think that it will be a lot of scientific advancements because that's just Aquarius. And society will be transformed because of these scientific advancements. And again, I think because a lot of us can be distrustful of science and medicine, that we can easily dismiss things. But I think it's just really important that we just stay open and don't freak out when we see certain things happening, because initially the energy is rough, but I think once we get into 2025, we'll start settling into the energy because we're fully there now. We've had a taste of it before, and so now things won't seem so out of the ordinary. They will, but we'll be used to what's out of the ordinary. I do want to say, I know a lot of women who work in tech, and so I encourage everyone to really take take the time to make sure that you are doing your part to stay abreast, um, on making sure everybody has access to these technological advances. Um, Again, I think I said this in another video, but Aquarius is about collectives, and I think people will want to be a part of a collective where they feel empowered. I just caution people, like, Aquarius is okay with people not agreeing. It's a sign that's kind of sort of like everyone gets to think and feel how they want, but just don't be imposing yourself on other people. And so it's not, I don't think it's healthy to only surround yourself with people who agree with you. I think that's not human. However, I do think it's important to surround yourself with people who think like you and have the same interest as you and help you make progress in your life. And that will become something that is very transformational. There's always the dark side of every sign. And so, we already know there are different collectives out there, some that are harmless and just it's about the group that is there, and some collectives that would they wouldn't mind, if other people are harmed by them. Uh, so who knows what full on we're gonna see, but that is something that will become more and more. People, you know what I think? I think that we have become so much more free to be me, because that's Aquarius. We're so much more able to be who we are that we go and seek people who have like-minded. Whereas with Capricorn, it's kind of like, well, I got to just stick with my family, even if my family doesn't really agree with me, or I don't agree with my family. We have different views, we have different values, because Capricorn is tradition. And that's something that I think a lot of us had to really face. It's like the old way seemed to have so much power under Capricorn, but then we're going to bring in new ways of being, more Aquarius ways of being. And one way, thing about Aquarius is it's about friends and groups of people who we have like a shared purpose with. And again, it's about everyone in society having the same the same thing. Like at the very least, this society must benefit the people who are in it. And so I think that we will see more. And I think that because we live in this day and age where we are free to, keep our family of origin, but also we can go find other people who become like family and align ourselves with them. That is what this is. We're going to find that more and more, and it'll be around different interest topics of interest. So some people may be like an Aquarius collective around food, and they're like out teaching people how to be better with raising food, or how do you acquire your food in a way that is earth friendly, because it's all about progress, right? Or some collectives may be about art, and how do we advance society with art. And maybe there's some collectives that are about educating our children, and within that will be all the subcategories. We're going to have the children who are going to school, but the schools will probably begin to change and be different. Like what came to me earlier with the podcast is we can probably have kids creating podcasts for school. How that looks, I have no idea. But maybe it's a way that they can express what they've learned. I don't know. Or we have a collective for homeschoolers, or people who are doing a hybrid. Who knows? It could be anything. Collectives around health and well-being, and collectives, groups. And all of it will kind of be like, we're doing this because we want to make progress and advance. There will be some collectives that are not that way. So just don't freak out when you begin to see more of them. Oh, science, the internet, broadcasting. I talked about society and the other one, so I'm not going to talk too much about governance. Suffice it to say, it's the sign of the people. And so it'll be really interesting to see what happens with, like, what main style of government will be promoted. Will it be democracy? Because Aquarius is sort of like democracy also, because everyone gets a vote. So we'll see about that. And um, yeah. Oh, telepathy. Aquarius is about telepathy. So it could be people become more telepathic during that time. Oh, astrology, I think, is going to be very transformational during that time. It'll be highlighted. I also kind of wonder, because Pluto is about transformation. It's just so many people doing astrology out there. What how will it be transformed in terms of who is sharing their astrology? But it could be that astrology gets, like, there's some new science. So I heard one of my teachers say this, a new type of astrology can come forward with something like this going on. I know, man, astrology did really blow up during Saturn being in Aquarius. So yeah, astrology could become even more mainstream. Maybe people can go to school and take it, which there are astrology schools, but maybe at traditional colleges. And let's see here. There could be more talk about the nervous system, the skin, even ankles. I know it sounds crazy, but um, Aquarius rules the ankles, it rules the back, especially when we think about the spinal column. Um, because Leo rules the lower back, but the spinal column is ruled by Aquarius along with the nervous system. So we could have more, you know, topics come on about that. And I think that's all I have right now. I feel emptied out. So that I'm just gonna stop with that little bit there. And as I get more, downloads or learn more as I do my studies, I'll be sure to come forward and talk to you all about it. So big changes. And Yeah, just be ready to let's be like Oshun, the goddess Oshun. Oshun is known, or we could say Heteru. This goddess is known for being she goes with the flow. She has she's grace and ease. She's just going with it and not stressing about anything because she knows everything is working in her favor. And she just keeps herself aligned with what it is that she desires for her life. And she knows that the one thing that Pluto might move into Aquarius and change some topics for us, but one thing that doesn't change is the laws of the universe. And so she stands on the unwavering laws of the universe and holds tight to whatever it is she wishes to manifest, and will use the energy of Pluto in Aquarius or Saturn in Pisces or whatever it is to help her understand how to get most aligned for that which she desires to manifest. So let's be like Oshun. Let's be like Ma'at. Ma'at is the goddess that has to do with vision, and she is the laws of the universe. And she knows that the laws of the universe are timeless and knows that there's a big picture, and Pluto in Aquarius is a part of this big picture. It's not an episode, it is a part of a series of events. And as long as we're working with Pluto in each episode, we could call that episode a month. We could call that episode a year, whatever we want to call it. In each episode, Pluto is working in our favor. And so it is with all the planets. And so she doesn't get upset. She keeps her life in balance, which means she doesn't stay hanging out in one area of life too long. She doesn't keep one mood so long that it keeps her stuck. She allows herself to move with whatever's going on in her life. That's why the scale is balancing. She, or kind of going teetering, I should say. She knows that it's all about living according to her heart. And the more she lives according to her heart, the more she'll be able to just show up in life and be with whatever, because she is wisdom. So let's just make sure that we're operating from a place of wisdom. The facts are good, wisdom is better. And that is what it means to live the goddess centered lifestyle. Thank you so much for listening, and let me know how things are going for you based on when you find this video. I am making it in advance of Pluto going into Aquarius. So right now, none of us really know what's going on, even though there are hints. There are hints of what's going on. But yeah, I know that everything is working in your favor. I appreciate you for listening today. And yeah, God is blessings. Catch you in the next video. Peace and love.